Okay, turn 24. We've fallen into this slightly stalemated pattern, certainly up in the north. Now, Calum is raiding us pretty heavily, and taking fairly minor casualties doing so. That's not... I don't consider that to be the hugest of problems. It's a solvable issue, and more than that, it's an issue of this army will wear down over time. They've sent in another army to attack the Bulwark, and that army contains their god, the Ahura of the Waters. He's not a very good combat god, but he is a powerful mage. 6 water, 5 astral, and of course he can summon water elementals. Now he has 2 afflictions, so he's apparently been expanding, which is a little bit interesting. But he has awe 5, and he is invulnerable 15, so his protection against non-magical attacks is 21, which is fairly respectable. Now, of course, all of my Gigantes have magical attacks, so it's not so much of a problem for me. But he's reasonably beefy. And of course he gets free ice elementals in the cold with him. He also has these Ahurani that he's summoning, so clearly Calum just rushed Conjuration and relied on other people to get everything else. Ahurani are water mages and priests, so they're pretty solid. They're also disease healers, and they fly. So they're kind of cool. He's got 2 of those, and then he has a whole bunch of these Spirehorn warriors. So he wiped out my province defense and, unfortunately, my Cryptes with no problem whatsoever. And you can see they're summoning a whole bunch of ice elementals. So that will be fun. Beyond that, you can see up here, he's raiding Niflheim. Raided that province away from Niflheim. In Xibalba broke out with just a tiny little force against the Engineer Arco left. I don't know why they left the Engineer. Engineer should have fallen back, but in any case, they did. We killed a false prophet in Makone, which is great. And we fought a battle in Ulm. So let's watch this. This was the clash of the stacks. This wasn't all of their troops, but it was a significant number of their troops. It may have been most. They have a whole bunch of axe warriors and mountain warriors, some archers of Ulm, a bunch of steel warriors. They have quite a few of those. 2 horned shamans, or antlered shamans rather, and Varenharis, the son of Steel, the hero, and he's got his ×3 versus giants sword. And yeah, so that's their army, and then on my side, of course, I have my big old line of Helit Peltasts up front with a few Discoboluses, and then I have my big line of Gigante Hoplites and Helit Hoplites in the back. I should actually put this group up front because they have the humans in it. And then I have my 2 thugs over to the side. Well, they're not real thugs at this point, but they've got pretty beefy equipment, so they're doing all right for themselves. So, Ulm blesses up all their troops. They get shock and fire resistance, a little bit of strength, a little bit of attack skill, a little bit of morale. Which is, I mean, reasonable. They won't do too badly. Lots of throwing axes going out. My Helit Peltasts get destroyed, and then my line of Gigantes, my Gigantes just line up and start killing, and they kill pretty well. These guys here at the corner, they do get dragged down by the surround. In particular, I think the Steel Warriors did reasonable damage, just because they hit quite hard. The Axe Warriors, not so much. As you can see here, the Axe Warriors against the Gigante Hoplites, they did some damage, but it's even versus their prot. And so the Axe Warriors didn't hurt a whole lot. Where are the Steel Warriors real quick? So this Gigante Hoplite here. Yeah, Steel Warrior hit for 8 damage. Miss. Steel Warrior. Yeah, so the Steel Warriors were actually the ones doing damage. Axe Warrior did a little bit of damage there, but it was the Steel Warriors that were hurting the Gigante Hoplites to some extent. And this, the Son of Steel here, 100 points of damage right there. Since... triple damage from the Sword of Sharpness, so Varenharis killed at least 1. Varenharis killed that one. That was another Steel Warrior. That actually was a Mountain Warrior. He got a really good damage roll. Axe Warriors, Mountain Warriors. So yeah, they chopped down my troops eventually. That was another Son of Steel, so he killed 2 Gigante Hoplites by himself. But overall, the Hoplites performed just as I expected they would. They mowed through the enemy units, and my Polar Marches got into the back line and killed off the commanders. Now, unfortunately, Varenharis did escape, but overall the battle was a massacre. I lost 9 Gigante hoplites and 2 Ekdromos, so 11 Gigantes total out of my 38, a little less than a third. While I killed well over half, more like 2/3 of the enemy army. Most of his axe warriors, most of his steel warriors, almost all of his mountain warriors. I killed both of his antlered shamans and his warrior smith, so I killed off 3 mages while losing none of my own. In terms of actual combat power, my army is almost unimpaired. And you can see here the Gigante hoplites killed an average of 3 people each, while losing less than a third of their number. The axe warriors, on the other hand, killed 9. So you see what I'm saying. Olmish infantry is good. This is very, very good for human infantry, but they can't stand up against the Gigante hoplites. If you can mass these guys, Makone has a definite plan. The walls are moderately damaged, which I only have 135 siege strength, and the fort has 250 wall integrity, so that tells me there's not a whole lot left in Ulm. I should be able to take it. I'm recruiting a commander here. He won't be able to grab the Disco Boluses, but he'll take all of these human troops and bring them back into service chaff. I've shifted my formation so that these guys are... I'm actually going to put the Peltast in that group too. So this squad is actually ahead of this squad, and we'll set them on hold and fire, I guess, so that these guys can throw their javelins, for all the good it'll do them. Up here, I have freed my fort, and we are once again recruiting troops. Still recruiting Gigante hoplites in Makone. These armies are going to combine down here and move down to rescue the bulwark. I'm going to end up this army, while smaller than the army attacking Ulm, will still have over 20 Gigantes in it. 5, 13, 19, 26 Gigantes. I think they should be able to manage it. I am going to summon some more ogres here, I think. Yeah, and then I have 2 Gigantes, a whole bunch of Peltasts, and a gang of ogres already inside the bulwark. So next turn they will breach the fort, assuming they stay. But then my army will roll in. If they stay here, there'll be a fight, which I should win. If they jump up here to try and attack me, there'll be a fight, which once again, I think I should win. I'm summoning a whole bunch of lesser fire elementals. They won't really hurt my Gigante hoplites, because the Gigante hoplites have such high prot. They will hurt my human infantry, but they'll hurt they should hurt the Calamites more. And I'm also summoning lesser earth elementals, which will basically just act as chaff. They won't be super, super valuable. Creus. What is Creus doing? Oh, that's right. Creus is going to be there, and he is going to cast Strength of Giants. So, shifted my research a little bit. I'm going to hit Conjuration level 4 and then Construction level 3, which will also give me Legions of Steel, which will enable me to increase my prot even higher, up to 23 for Gigante hoplites. So that'll be online next turn, and I'll be able to change Creus to doing that, and I'll be able to set other Creus, Hoplodamos, and Lemnos, and Eurytheon all to doing that. Or actually, all these guys are all... Hippolytus I'll be able to set to doing that, and then the 2 Archons. So they'll be able to buff my prot pretty significantly. Up north, I assassinated a Baratian sage in Iron Peaks, went fine, cut off both his arms, and he ran away. Periphas is going to sneak out of the province so he doesn't get patrolled out. He's going to sneak down here. I think this Inari communion is coming down south in order to rescue this fort, the fort in Dry Fields. That's fine. Punchmaster is going to rush north to try and catch this little army and beat it up, which he can do. We're sending some Nephil Giants down south to here to cut them off if they go this way. And the Nephil Giants are going to move up to Summer Edge to make as if we're attacking Baratos. Actually, attacking Baratos would not be a great idea, but we're going to pretend we're doing that, basically in order to put the fear of Punchmaster into Baratos here. Baratos is really, really suffering. He's only got a few provinces. Xibalba is clinging to life desperately, but not going to live all that much longer. So basically, at this point, we're fighting Sauromatia. And to Sauromacia's credit, he is holding us off. Mainly, although, to be frank, he's mainly holding us off because the vast majority of our military power is down south. Like, that's it, really. But in any case, we will get him We need to get skill spam online for Niflheim. What we've done is we've started shipping owl quills over to Niflheim, and as a result, you can see the research went pew. The research started taking off, which is great, because we need their research to be taking off, because my research is only I would say, now becoming acceptable, and Niflheim's research needs to get there pretty rapidly. So they're rushing down enchantment to enchantment 5 to get Horde of Skeletons, at which point their Gigjas become frightening. They are also recruiting their first couple of Scrati, which they can use as communion batteries through the use of the Sabbath spells. And since Scrati regenerate, you can put shrouds on them, and that makes them regenerate more. And then you can use their giant HP and regeneration to serve them as I said, communion batteries for large numbers of Gigjas. These are the turbo communions that Niflheim is famous for, and that will enable us to actually out-skelespam the Inaris. Once we get enough of those going. Like, there's 20 Inaris here. I think it was 4 or 5 of them were actually casting Horde of Skeletons, and they could do that once they hit about 100 fatigue on the slaves. The extra reinvigoration kicked in, and so they could do that, ad infinitum. Well, Gidges can do that too, and they can do it with fewer slaves. So, you might have, out of these 20, you have 4 or 5 Inaris skeletonspamming. Well, you can probably get 10 or 12 Gigjas skeletonspamming off of 2 to 4. Off of 2 to 4. Losing my mind. Scrati. 2 to 4 Scrati. So at that point, you can just overwhelm them with superior numbers of skeletons. It's a slow process, but it can be done. And that is going to have to be our countermeasure, kind of, because otherwise we don't have another good way to break that line. It's either that, or like mass air elementals to attack rear, which I could do. Need to move my air randoms north. I don't have many air randoms, is the thing. I have him. I have Orestes. Orestes is an air random who can summon lesser air elementals. So Koius, unfortunately, is diseased, so I kind of have to leave him be. Orestes and Pandokos. Moving people around right now is a little bit scary because we have all these birds jumping in all directions, but I'm actually going to start moving those to north. Yeah, hop up to there to 184, sorry. We can duck into the fort in Nashen and grab some more gems. I have a little bit of air gem income. And we can hopefully use that to accomplish something here. Let's actually see if I can get the money to recruit an E4. Oof. I am a little bit gold starved at the moment. Okay, we'll do that. Great. So we're leaving those troops behind. Demukos is going to pop up, grab them, and the new Gigante Hoplite that I am recruiting, as well as whatever other troops are left there, and then he will help hold the line with a couple of Gigantes. Ultrius is taking those troops. Niflheim got hit by a couple, I think these might be casts of Wolven Winter. He got hit by a couple wolf attacks, including one that hit this fort. So need to do something about that. But we'll work it all out. We'll be fine. We're honestly doing okay, especially for how many players we're fighting. Like, we're fighting 2 players down here, actually 3, although Ermor hasn't shown his face again yet, but he will. I'm sure he will. And we're fighting effectively, I'm gonna call it an average of 2 players up here. Baratos is fairly ineffective, but still present. Xibalba is still present and absorbing a lot of attention. And then Saramesha is holding off a fraction of our forces as well. So, overall, I think we're doing fine. So long as nobody else jumps on us, we'll be alright. I think this team here, the Tianchi, Mictlan, and Vanheim team. Vanheim is down over here-ish somewhere. And they're fighting this team. I've been told they're fighting Lanka, Fomoria, and Hinnom and winning, which is interesting. It looks like Hinnom has actually been giving provinces to Fomoria, which is honestly probably pretty decent strategy. Hinnom is not as strong a nation as Fomoria is, and so by giving a lot of territory and resources to Fomoria, they're basically maximizing the resources available to the strongest part of their forces. Now, they don't want to do that entirely. They also want to have stuff available to Lanka, because Lanka is their main blood hunter, since Lanka gets lots of efficient blood hunting, and they get bonuses in turmoil to blood hunting. But I think their strategy is pretty... Also, interestingly, it looks like they may have taken order. It looks like they might have taken order. Or is that... well, maybe not. That might be... Well, but down here, they've got order. Yeah, they might have taken order. That's weird. Anyway, I'm going to move this scout over here to see what I can see of what's going on in that part of the world. But that, I think, is going to be the turn. Like I said, this stuff, just going to have to kind of let it be for now. We've got a small army right here, but that army is going to get wrecked if these birds combine on it. It might be able to take on one group. Might be able to take on one group. Definitely can't take on two. Or, God forbid, all three. So we'll see how things go. Niflheim is definitely going to have to be playing defense against this. I'm just going to try to kill him. Just kill him outright. He has a fort, another fort down here. But if I can take his capital, then I get all of his income, and he can't recruit antlered shamans anymore. I get a large fraction of his gold income, and I get all his gem income, including nature gems. Yay! So that is going to be the goal, and I have not yet freed up the money to even build a lab here. And to be frank, I haven't wanted to, because unless I can put down a fort first, it's just going to get taken. So there's not really any point. Well, alright. I'll see you in turn 25. Alright, turn 25. Didn't find any new death sites, unfortunately. Lots and lots of battles. So, Niflheim took back a province from wolves. In Summer Edge, Niflheim attacked into Baratos and conquered the province with no problem. In Senextro, I attacked Baratian province and conquered it, no problem. In Tapanete, I took back a province from wolves, so with very minor casualties. In Saboria, Niflheim attacked Calum and ran into their recombined army of Spirehorn warriors and lost. They got jumped on, they weren't able to bless. The goad didn't get the blessing off, so the Nifl Giants were not regenerating. And I believe that's because... Actually, it looks like he probably wasn't scripted to do it. That was an oversight. Okay, fair enough. So, the blessing didn't happen, and the Nifl Giants were fighting without their regeneration. They did manage to get quite a number of kills despite that, but not enough. And then the... Eventually the goad died and the Nifl Giants were surrounded and they just, they just went down like chumps. That said, over this many turns, that regeneration would have given them like 35 or 40 more hit points. They would have inflicted a lot more damage and a little bit more fatigue. Of course, Spirehorn warriors are cold resistant, so the cold aura doesn't hurt them much, but it still can affect them to some degree. Even so, they killed it better than the 1-to-1 ratio. If he'd gotten the blessing off, probably he would have gotten, 30 or 40 kills, which would have been useful. But in any case, he didn't, so that's fine. Honestly, we're still doing okay. In Xibalba, Nifl Giants came and overwhelmed the newly inserted province defense to put Xibalba back under siege, just in time. Great. In other battles, Dragonscale Mountains, Mudwood Dominion change. So this is now under the dominion of someone else. We don't know who. In Inorime, Sauromatia tried to attack us. This is the province that I had persuaded, I'd asked Seven Path to move his giants to, and he did in fact intercept an attack. So Sauromatia's troops basically just get run over by the Nifl Giants. They don't do a huge amount. They get a couple of giant kills, but definitely a lopsided face beating. As you can see here, he lost 2 Nifl Giants, and he killed 22 Sauromatian Cataphracts. Now, in terms of gold cost, a Nifl Giant is worth about 5 Sauromatian Cataphracts, so killing 22 for 2 plus 7 Oyurpatas, definitely worthwhile. And he killed the Warrior Priestess, so that was the enemy commander gone as well. And in Rusty Badlands, Hinnom attacked Fomoria, and we actually got to see Hinnom's god and his bless. So Hinnom's disciple is a Master Lich who has Air 4, Earth 2, and Death 4, and the bless is attack skill plus 4, so that's 6 fire. decay weapons, fire shock resistance, and blood surge. So for this team, we've got fire 6, death 4, earth 5, and blood 4. Interesting combination. And they just ran over a little bit of province defense. So, overall pretty decent. I did lose Walnut Woods to Barbarians, but I don't care much about Walnut Woods. Ulm is now severely damaged, so we are definitely still working on it, and the bulwark has been breached. So this Calamite army has successfully breached this fort. However, we now have a significant enough army to attack them. So Perseus is breaking siege with his ogre minions and helots, and we are moving in with the Gigantes as well. We've basically boxed up around our mages. We've got these guys kind of in the back. I'm actually going to set them on either corner, and they are scripted to hold and fire flyers. We've got our infantry scripted to hold and attack flyers, so if we go to fight Calum, we should be able to wipe them out, especially with our Gigante hoplites. They should do pretty good work. And if they're scripted to hold and attack rear, they should mostly hit those 2 squads of helots in the rear. They will wipe them out, but I don't care. And then my mages are scripted to spam fire elementals, which won't be great against the magical weapons. Like, they'll die very quickly, but they'll just attract attacks. That's what they exist for, and that's what I'm spending gems to do. Like, I'm perfectly willing to spend fire gems in order to suck attacks away from my mages. So they're each going to summon a couple of fire elementals and then start throwing fireballs, which they should be able to do definitely. And this will allow them to use 2 gems on each cast, boosting them up to fire 3. So they won't be fatigued out by the time they finish with the fire elementals, and they'll be able to throw a couple fireballs before they have to sit down and have a nap. My Basilius is actually moving back to the capital. He is too valuable to risk in this battle. I do anticipate that I may lose a couple of mages if I fight this army. Hopefully, however, I will kill this here as my beaten stick, the Ahura of the Waters, in which case it will definitely all be worth it. And we also have an army of Ermor moving in, and this army has augurs in it. So this army has a small communion behind it. Not sure what they'll be casting, but I'm sure it will be something very, very damaging. I am maintaining the Siege of Ulm. Pinky the Lenormand did move out to retake Kun Oral from my few units that were standing there, which is okay. I don't mind that all that much. I don't think he can take this army. I think even if, to be frank, even if Ulm sallied with everything he has, I don't think he could take this army. I'm still knocking down his walls at a rate of, like, probably... Well, we went to moderately damaged last time, and now we've gone to severely damaged, so... probably like 70 or 80 points a turn. Which means that he can't have all that much inside. Like, well under 100 units is what... He has to have less than 100 units inside. And I don't think 100 Ulmish units can deal with this many troops. And I don't think one Lenormand can deal with all these Gigante hoplites. The poison would probably inflict casualties later, but especially since he doesn't have a huge bless, that Lenormand would get speared to death. So, not too worried about it. I am going to encourage Niflheim to start pushing some of their guys down south. I believe he's just a few points away from Skelespam from Enchantment 5, so as soon as he hits Enchantment 5, and as soon as he recruits a couple of Scrati, he'll be able to just drive straight into Ulm, and Ulm will not be able to stop him. In much the same way that we cannot stop Inaris. Now, this is a little bit worrisome. He did manage to get some brides in waiting in here, and he's been summoning Seir like mad. Nasajin, Baratos has. Which is, to be expected. Like, that's exactly what I would anticipate him doing. I don't believe he's got 100 Seir. For one thing, this is that pile of Inari that was up here last turn, so that's 20 Inari. He's also got some archers. I believe that this is an overestimation. I think he has fewer Seir than this. I think he has maybe like 50. Just because it's only turn 25. Seir are only summoned 2 at a time. He's got a bunch of brides in waiting up here. Like a lot of units, including a lot of brides in waiting. And the fact that he has all this militia here indicates to me that he's probably bloodhunting his capital. Probably pretty heavily. So if we look at brides in waiting real quick. Brides in waiting are slow to recruit. They cost 415 gold. They have a whole bunch of paths, but yeah, I mean, they're slow to recruit. So he can have, at most, right now, he could have 12. 12 brides in waiting, summoning, even if all 12 were down here, which we know they're not, summoning Seir would be 24 Seir per turn. Which is a lot, but, like, he's already got... I don't know exactly how this image corresponds to the number of units in the province, but I know that it's more than 6, because I know that it's at least 6. So at most he has like 5, maybe 6 brides in waiting down here, which means he's been summoning at most 10 or 12 Seir per turn, and we haven't had this place under siege that long. There were no Seir before we laid siege to Dry Fields, and Dry Fields has not been under siege for 10 turns. So, I don't think. So he can't have more than about 50 or 60, like at absolute maximum. I would be surprised if he had 60 Seir. Now, that makes me think that he may have actually deployed an effigy of war in this province to make it look like he has more units than he actually has. Effigy of war increases the perceived size of an army by 50, and then that can, of course, be modified by scout reports. So what I'm doing, actually, is I'm moving Punchmaster down here into Dragonscale Mountains. And if he tries to attack me, Punchmaster is going to be able to handle Seir. With that crazy high defense skill, and his high protection made even higher when he casts spells, Seir will not be able to stop him. Just in case, I will actually cast Resist Lightning, just to make sure that I'm not lightning weak with my Iron Skin. But he also doesn't have Stormcallers, so he can't spam lightning like he really wants to be able to. So, yeah, hopefully he'll attack me, and Punchmaster will spread his dominion to this province, which he should be able to do. And then we will kill a bunch of Seir and destroy all his work that he's been doing. But I think what's happening is Baratos is bloodhunting his capital, and Saromatia is probably bloodhunting to a limited extent and feeding him blood slaves. And he's using those, he's just pouring those all into Seir, which I think are a blood 4 summon. They're not super high research, so I think he's just rushed for them and is pumping them, and he may be bloodhunting these provinces as well. But I'm quite sure he's bloodhunting his capital. So, overall, we're still in a good position. We're doing it. This army, it's possible this army will be destroyed because they do have an army down here that contains a number of area seraphs that can throw lightning bolts. Even if they're throwing lightning bolts, I think we can probably take them. What I'm going to do is, I've got these two up here with this mage. I'm going to assign more units to bodyguard them. So we're going to have 6. Let's have 8 bodyguards. You are going to be stay behind troops. And you'll be like right up there in the line. That's fine. So yeah, I'm actually going to put these guys in boxes. So we'll have box. That'll make it harder for the initial charge of the birds to deal a ton of damage, and so it'll make me more likely to be able to strike back very effectively with these guys. And once the charge is spent, my hoplites will slaughter them. So I think even if this Calamite army jumps me, I should be able to repel them. Even if this army jumps back and this army attacks simultaneously, I might lose. That's possible. That said, I really like... And instead of Earth Meld, you should be casting Legions of Steel. Don't I have construction? Oh, I was 3... Well, I miscounted somewhere. I changed something without thinking about it, and so I'm 3 research points short. Damn. Oh, that's frustrating. That is frustrating. Okay, well, even without the Legions of Steel, I should be okay. If I get jumped by 130 birds, I'll take casualties, but I think I can even probably fight my way through that. Especially because Iapetus and Enceladus are going to be extremely not vulnerable to birds. Even with their spear charge, they're still going to have effectively 20 protection or so after the piercing damage, and they will be killing birds in job lots, especially once they get their fire shields active. So, and the blessing, they'll be regenerating. I think it'll be fine. Now, if Pinky and all of the Olmish infantry break out instead, I think it'll also be fine. I think my 2 polar marches can beat down Pinky, and I think my infantry can slaughter the Olmish infantry. The fly in the ointment there will be the poison cloud that the Lenormand creates. That will probably inflict casualties in the post-battle sequence. So that's going to be annoying, but we'll see what we can do when we get to that point. I think this army can hold it. I think this army is just sheerly tough enough to handle it. And, of course, I have this army coming down, and this army has 19... This army has 26 more Gigantes, so they are like the same again, basically. A little bit less chaff, I think. Well, actually a similar amount of chaff. But they're going to pick up all this chaff and another couple of Gigantes as well, so... Even if Ulm and Calum manage to destroy this army, which they will do at ruinous cost, there's another one just like it coming right down the pipe. And this army from Ermor, I don't know if they're able to stop it. I don't think so. I think those augurs, I mean, all they have is fire and astral, so I'm thinking through what they can do. They can mind burn. If Ermor has been really focusing their research, they might potentially be able to cast Soul Slay, which would be very damaging because they could kill off several of my Gigantes with Soul Slay. But I can't picture this army winning. I just can't. They just don't have the oomph. They don't have high enough research to turn their astral into something really, really frightening. And they don't have the troop power to overcome my Gigantes. So I think I can handle it. Meanwhile, up here, we've got this army hopping around. The thing I'm worried about is that this army will hop back here and bust the fort at Kimry. That is a little bit worrying to me. I don't think I can really stop that. The only way I could really take precautions against that would be to move this whole army up here to Kimry. And that would, since this fort is already broken, I have to break this siege right now. It is necessary that I retake this province, reestablish control of the fort, and yeah. What I'm afraid of, honestly, is that this army is going to hop up here and either combine with this one to break Kimry, or actually besiege Makone, which they could potentially do. Now, if they besiege Makone, I can probably bust out, and my 25 province defense will inflict casualties on them, especially since it comes with some Gigantes. But, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting indeed. Makone's fort province defense is actually really good at high levels because you get the free Gigantes. Anyway, yeah, that's the turn. I'm getting some Boots of the Messenger delivered for Punchmaster, so he'll swap those out for his Boots of Giant Strength. Lower his damage a little bit, but make him quite a bit faster. And beyond that, we're holding down Xibalba. We're skirmishing along the line with Sauromatia and Baratos. And they may start a big push this turn. Hopefully they do, to be honest, so that I can kill them off. And we are fighting the good fight down here. As I said to my teammates, though, although this looks like we're fighting 2 full teams, we're not. We're actually fighting about 4.5 players, because Xibalba is already basically eliminated. Ulm is already partially eliminated, in the sense that he's lost one of his forts. He only has 1 palisade's worth of production capacity at this stage. Baratos is very, very small and weak. Calum is actually managing to churn out large quantities of troops, but they are also fairly small. So it's kind of an interesting juxtaposition there. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. So I'll see you all in turn 26. Alright, turn 26. This one was a little unfortunate, actually. So, we hit construction level 3, which is great. Didn't find anything with dark knowledge, that's okay, that's fine. In Dumna, another bird stack jumped onto the fort to capture it. In Faircliff, Xibalba hit Arco with a small force, but was beaten. And in Ulm, we were hit by an enormous bird force. And in hindsight, I should have seen this coming. But big ol' bird army, they have natural rain active automatically because they have these Ahurani that they have summoned. So they have 3 Ahurani. I love lakes, I love oceans, and I love rivers, who are their water/priest summons. They also have this here as my beaten stick, the Ahura of the Waters. Like I said, I should have expected this army would jump down here. And they've got a whole bunch of area seraphs with 1 air gem each, as well as a couple of Eagle Kings with a bunch of air gems. So on my side, I've got my relatively small stack of hoplites. And what happens here is, first of all, they throw a whole bunch of lightning bolts, which do significant damage to my troops and stun a bunch of them, including Creus the E4. And as a consequence, I don't think he does get the blessing off, so we do have regeneration on our polar marches. Unfortunately, that's not going to be enough here. They cast Storm, they summon a whole bunch of water elementals, and then they summon a whole bunch of air elementals. So, these guys are already routing from damage that they have taken. This is, I think, the guys who were ordered to guard Creus the E4. The rest of my hoplites are now mostly surrounded by Spirehorn warriors, but, critically, not entirely surrounded. There's been a few casualties. I lost a guy there, I lost a guy there, I lost guys there. I think some of them were stunned, and you can see the air elementals are starting to land. This is really bad, because, first of all, air elementals trample. And when they are size 6, that's the full-size ones over here, they can trample my Gigantes. Now, trampling is not inherently all that dangerous, but it deranges their formation and pushes them out where they can easily get surrounded by a whole bunch of these stabby boys. And secondly, my troops can damage them very quickly because I do have magical weapons, and air elementals rely primarily on being ethereal, since they have no protection and low hit points. They do have a high defense skill, though, especially under a storm, because they have storm power, so their strength, their attack skill, and their defense skill all go way up. And if they're brought down to size 4, then they can't trample anymore, and they use this lightning swarm attack. Well, the lightning swarm attack is armor negating shock damage, so it stuns, and it ignores my protection. In other words, it's tailor-made for taking out Gigante hoplites. So, for the cost of, admittedly, a lot of gems, like a lot of gems, you can see the air elementals start to land, they get into the formation, dropping a couple of thunder strikes. I am killing some of the air elementals, just wiping them out. But my Gigante hoplites are fighting, and they fight fairly effectively, but they're also getting trampled down. You can see up here, Iapetus the Polar March is down to 23 hit points. This Polar March is stunned and getting trampled, and about to die. And the thunder strikes come down, keep stunning people, and when they're stunned, they are very easy to trample, and the air elementals wipe me out completely. A couple of my guys get away, but they have nowhere to retreat to, and so they die. So, casualty-wise, we still killed a whole bunch. Like, even in the worst of circumstances, these Gigante hoplites still gave as good as they got. Unfortunately, giving as good as they got just is not enough. They're so expensive, so valuable, and so rare, they have to do better than that. So, this army has paid for itself in that it destroyed that Ulmish army last turn, including 3 mages, and then it killed off 46 of the Spirehorn warriors, but it has lost, which is very, very unfortunate. So, we took back the Bulwark, because that was what their army jumped out of. We got 400% extra tax in Halbathria, which is excellent. That's basically keeping us in the black. We got a whole bunch of gems from Digmore, and we got Misfortune in range of Shadow, which doesn't really matter. And Throne of Gaia is spreading growth. So, our team has found itself in a situation that I don't like, and we're doing okay, but it's stunting us, and it's making a problem. Particularly for Niflheim. As you may notice, Niflheim is down to 10 provinces, because they've lost provinces to raiding. We've got these independents that we never managed to free up the time and effort to take. We got trouble right here in River City, and this fort is once again under siege. So, Calum now has 2 large armies balling around. Like I said, he spent over 30 gems in that battle, so fine. Like, I'm glad I made him spend those gems, I do have another army of approximately the same size already raring to go. Unfortunately, another army of the same size is going to run into the same problem. Now, this army won't be able to do it immediately because they don't have gems, and I don't believe you can restock gems at a friendly fort. I think it has to be your fort, but they might have a scout carrying gems with them, and even if they don't, they have a fort right here that I'm sure has a major 2 in it that can join them with gems and distribute gems to them. So at most, this army is unable to elemental spam for 1 turn. I, meanwhile, am unable to elemental spam for 2 turns, because that is how long it will take me to hit Conjuration level 5. So me spamming fire elementals is one potential counter to this. Fire elementals and air elementals more or less mutually annihilate, except the fire elementals have a little more hit point, have a little more HP, and so do a little better. Lesser fire elementals can also work, so I can just spam a ton of lesser fire elementals. Spirehorn warriors kill fire elementals very quickly, but air elementals tend to die to them. So, that's a potential counter. I've got more units up here. However, I've been kind of trying to make peace with this team in order to focus our efforts down south. They're not having any of it. No dice. What I need is I need Punchmaster in the south. Because Punchmaster, I can swap this out for a set of copper plate. Or I can swap this out for a storm spool even, and he'll be fine. Like, the danger is shock damage, the danger is people getting stunned and trampled and all that. Well, he's untrampleable, he regenerates very quickly, and if I can get him some shock resistance, he'll be extremely durable against elementals. So, Punchmaster is a great super combatant. Like, really a fantastic super combatant, even with fairly minimal gear. So, I can do that. But, in order to do that, I need to have more troops up here to hold the line. Because we've got a whole bunch of garbage Baratian militia, but they can serve as chaff for magic. And more importantly, down here we've got these Seirs. See, now it says 50 enemy units. That's more like what I thought. There's no way. They only had... they moved away their effigy of war or something here. What we have to do in order to free up troops is either we have to scare these guys, or we have to take this fort. And taking this fort will be extremely difficult. Basically, we need to accumulate a couple hundred siege strength. So, we're kind of in a holding pattern on this side until we can take Xibalba and free up all of Arco's troops. Because once all these troops get rolling into this side, they're going to make it a lot harder for Sarmatia to hold us off. So, that being so, I'm kind of scattering a little bit right now. I'm moving people out to site search because I desperately need more gems. In terms of earth gems and death gems, I'm doing well. But in everything else, I'm pretty lacking. I have not been able to build a lab here, and as a consequence, I have not been able to recruit any Jade Sorceresses. That is a problem. And it's a problem I don't really have the money to solve. What I'm doing here is I'm forging gear for a Polemarch, who I can use as a counter to this. I'm forging him a flask of holy water, so he will be blessed automatically, so he'll regenerate from the word go. Copper plate to give him a lot of shock resistance, a main gouge of parrying to up his defense, and a mace of eruption to let him do damage. Then he can cast Iron Skin, which he'll still have 20 shock resistance with the copper plate after Iron Skin. Iron Skin, once I hit alteration level 4, he'll be able to cast Temper Flesh. I'm probably actually just going to go alteration level 4 before evocation. And at that point, he'll be extremely durable. However, in order for that to function, I need him to have reinvigoration items, which means a Girdle of Might and Boots of the Messenger. That needs construction level 4, which I don't really have time to get. So they are going to have a limited shelf life because, of course, Polemarches have fairly high encumbrance. Now, the copper plate is less than the Gleaming Hauberk, so that'll help. But I'm going to need more Boots of the Messenger, and I think I'm going to have to get them from WarriorsofFaith. So I've already shipped off some nature gems to WarriorsofFaith. I'm going to need to ship him more, because those boots are going to be vital in keeping my Polemarches awake, basically. Now they can cast... Actually, I don't need both. I only need one reinvigoration item because they can also cast Summon Earth Power. I just don't know if they'll have time to cast Summon Earth Power before they are jumped by birds. I can only really count on getting 1 or 2 turns of buffing. Having the Blessing automatic, that will be crucial. So these guys are going to kind of be a stopgap until I can free up Punchmaster. They will do less well up here, because a primary weapon being used against us up here is Skeleспam, and Skeleспam is really good against lone thugs. As we saw, even Punchmaster, who at this stage is still, like I said, a very, very solid super combatant, even Punchmaster gets overwhelmed by Skeleспam just because he can't deal the damage to stop it. In order to fight Skeleспam, you need tons of units, and you need a lot of wide area damage, which thugs don't have. Now, I can fight Skeleспam with Banish Spam to an extent, but you have to banish really fast in order to keep up with that kind of Skeleспam, which means I would need to commit a whole bunch of mages, which I can absolutely do, but doing so will destroy my research, so I'm hesitant to do that unless it's absolutely necessary, especially when we are kind of holding it down on this side. However, that does militate in favor of me moving troops in that direction and moving Punchmaster away. I'm a little worried about that because this army is going to need support, and also I'm critically short of funds again already. But I'm thinking it might need to be what happens. I'm still pumping out as many Gigantes as I possibly can. One solution here could be to spend a bunch of my death gems mass summoning skeletons. Skeletons are, of course, garbage units, but they are units. They have siege strength, and they perform chaff functions. So I could do that. And they have low HP, so they don't contribute much to HP routing. On the downside, they don't get targeted by magic much. But I could... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I could pump out 80 skeletons this turn for 24 death gems. Given how high my death income is, that may be a good call. I've been thinking about it, and I think I just need more numbers. I mean, I have to have the Gigantes, but I also need numbers in order to support them, in order to keep them from just dying. So, yeah, I think I'm really hesitant to tank my research, though, because research is the only way I'm going to get out of this hole. Niflheim has Skeleспam of his own online, so the Gigantes should be moving out pretty soon in order to do something. What I'm worried about is, primarily, I'm not really worried about losing this war. I mean, it's been back and forth so far, but I think we can hold it down, and I think we can even hold it down over here. What I'm worried about is, this is going to take us so long and grind out, and we're not going to be able to make progress long enough for this team or this team to put themselves in a position where they just win the game. Now, which they're already kind of doing. If we look at the Pretenders, A Song of Fire and Blood is AI. Pangea, so their AI, Pangea, has been outright defeated. So the only member of that team that's left is Hinnom. I'm sorry, is Lanka. So that's one team that's pretty much already destroyed. No, I'm sorry, it is Hinnom. Yeah, A Song of Fire and Blood. That's the one. So yeah, it's Hinnom. Hinnom is like the only one left. And they're fighting as hard as they can, but Lanka is pushing on them. Fomoriya is supporting them. I don't think Hinnom is all that long for this world. What that means is, A, this team is going to get super powerful. And B, well, what I'm hoping it means is that this team and this team end up going to war and beating the crap out of each other. What I'm worried it means is that this team will attack these guys, and then we won't be able to take advantage of it because this team will attack us, since we're larger and more of a threat than Ulm. I don't know how to stop that from happening, and I'm quite concerned about it. On the plus side, it looks like Ulm really doesn't have much left, because if we look at Ulm, this is about 90 units total. We killed 46 out of their 137. It says only about 120 units, so there can't be many Ulms left, which I already kind of knew, but it's nice to have confirmation. I think we can take him, but we just need to be careful about it. I'm going to give that to him for now, and yeah, I think we're going to revive a king, and then we're going to reanimate a whole bunch. I kind of hate to waste gems doing that. Like, don't get me wrong, reanimation is a good spell for people who have good national skeletons. As far as I know, Makone doesn't. Now, to be fair, I haven't tested that, but I've looked in Mod Inspector, and I haven't seen any, like, long-dead hoplites, long-dead Gigantes or anything. There are long-dead hoplites, Arcocephali gets them, but I haven't seen any long-dead Gigantes or anything, so I would be surprised. I guess I should test that. I should test to see if Makone gets national long dead. But regardless of whether they do or not, I just need chaff right now. So I'm just going to spam a whole bunch of chaff. Speaking of chaff, there's actually a really good chaff spell at level 6, which we've talked about before. So Dragon Teeth. I just haven't been focusing my research to get up enchantment like that, because enchantment doesn't give me great combat magic. It does give me Thunder Ward, which some of my Archons can cast. And it gives me Flaming Arrows. And Cloud Trapeze, so I will need that at some point. Huh. Oh, great, okay. For right now, we're just going to sit here, we're going to reanimate, we're going to pump up our armies right in this fort. Now, this is a little bit worrying, but I'm going to have to leave Niflheim to deal with it for now. Over here, I was moving these troops south. I've had a change of heart. I'm actually going to move troops north. So I'm going to send these armies up north. This is a substantial grip of Gigantes. They should be able to handle a lot. Probably they can't handle 50 Seir, but I might be able to use them to put dry fields back under siege, question mark? When combined with these troops, I mean, that's a substantial commitment of Gigantes. Here's hoping. I just have no money whatsoever. I'm going to stop recruiting the Gigante up there in order to make this guy an E4. And of course I'm recruiting a Polar March here. And we're recruiting Onyx Sorceresses down here. I'm still waiting to hit that 10% death. I've recruited 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11... 12. There was, yeah, I knew there was one up here. I've recruited 12, so I should be hitting that sometime soon, but might take a little while. Strategically speaking, like I said, holding pattern, we've got to get Xibalba. If we can break down Xibalba, then we can do something here. If these armies move in, that's another 120, almost 100, that's another 130 units. On top of that, 185, I think they can roll in. We do have to stop these Sauromation Cataphracts from getting around us, but even so, they won't be able to accomplish a whole lot against that many troops. And I don't think there's any... I mean, the only place these guys could possibly go on the offensive is right here with their Skelospam battery. And... I don't know. I think we can stop them, if they do. Alright, so that's going to be the turn. We'll see how it goes. I'm a little frustrated at myself that I let this happen. Like I said, I should have, when I saw them here and how the siege was progressing, I should have been like, okay, they're going to try to hit this. I need to bounce. We've got this army moving in. I'm not too worried about it, except it does have the augurs. And once again, I'm not entirely certain what the augurs can do, because I'm not entirely certain what Ermor's research is. In support of that, what I should actually probably do is bounce an indie commander off them if I can. Or a scout. But I still have no scout provinces. None. Zero. Zippo. Zilch. Nada. These guys need a lab and a temple. But they're further from the front line, so it might be a good idea to just bite the bullet and go lab and temple that. But I need money. And at the moment, nobody has money. Our team is suffering from a fairly crippling money shortage. Because, of course, all my crap is super expensive. Niflheim has lost a lot of their income producing territories. And Arco has been locked in this struggle for so long that they're not huge either. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, not great, but we will do what we can. We're still in an okay position. We're still doing fine. Punchmaster is going to go take that swamp because he can. I don't think they're going to attack. I think they understand that attacking into Punchmaster is fairly futile. And so hopefully I don't think they will. I'm going to have to gamble here a little bit. To be honest, I don't know if they're patrolling. Actually, wait. This is Baratos's fort. So the Anaris should technically be outside the fort, because you can't technically be inside an ally's fort. But the Seir should be inside the fort. So there's no army that could take this unless they move troops out of here. I just had a very interesting thought. Because Punchmaster can stalemate the Inari, and that makes at least some of the Inari retreat. The Masters. If they retreat, they've got 2 unfriendly provinces, so there's a chance they'll be killed. And that's in my dominion. I'm going in. I'm going to attack this province with Punchmaster. And my goal is going to be once again forcing an end of battle route, which he should be able to do. And if he can do that, he'll be trapped inside the skeletons. Yeah, we're gonna do it. We're gonna see what we can accomplish. And see if we can drive the Inari away. Because if we can drive the Inari away and scatter them and kill some of them, then that will be a definite win. So Punchmaster is gonna go right back in. We're gonna see what happens. I know it's a gamble, but I feel like I've got to do kind of something to break the deadlock a little bit. Shake things up, and particularly, I need to do something to keep Sauromatia nervous. Because what I really don't want is I really don't want Sauromatia feeling like he has the situation under control. I do not want Kosar, the player of Sauromatia, who I played with before, incidentally. He's pretty good. He's okay. I really don't want him feeling like he has a handle on what's going on. So I'm going to attack here. I'm gonna shake him up, gonna break the stalemate a little bit, potentially get Punchmaster in among the chickens to rampage around a little bit, because the only thing they have that can stop him is the Inari. Now, I have to be careful with that, because if he's caught by Inari Skelospam in enemy territory and cut off, he'll retreat and die. That's pretty much the only way they could kill him at this point. So, do have to be careful about that, but absent that, I think this can work. So we're going to hit them. After that, we're probably going to pull back to get him his copper plate, or we're going to give the copper plate to somebody and move it forward towards him. It's not going to be Thimbrios, because he is beat the crap up. Priam. We also need to finish Priam's gear, so you, sir, should forge a black steel plate for Priam. Got the copper plate, the flask, the main gouge, and the Mace of Eruption are all going to our Polemarch, who is being created. And we should also give this Cryptes a shield. So, Astarius, forge him a black steel kite shield. Great. That'll cut our research some, but we will still finish Conjuration level 5 in 2 turns. And that will be fast enough. So, thanks for watching. I'll see you all in turn 27, when hopefully things will go a little bit better for us. Like I said, we're just sitting here defending. I'm not going to patrol. If they hit the fort, they hit the fort, and that's fine. I assume this army is going to move forward. I don't know whether it's going to move there or there. Probably there, because that's the direct route. If it does, I will then attack it with my larger army and see what we can do. If the birds jump onto my fort, that's fine. If the birds jump onto this fort and break it, then I'm going to have to recommend that Niflheim attack with everything they have. Like I said, they do have Skelospam online, so they might be able to get some defensive Skelospam done and smash this army if they can generate enough skeletons. Of course, Niflheim can generate a lot of skeletons. Like, a lot of skeletons. So they might be able to handle it. But we'll see. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you next turn.